In this video, I'll go over the collision managers. I'll start with I'll go over collision. I'll start with the collision manager. So for public methods, I have the get type ID, setting the collision itself and pair, and processing them. For private, for the data structures, I have a type ID, which is a int, which would be right here, and I have a vector of collidable groups and a list of collision test commands. So for getting type ID, it increments type ID next number, and it'll set the type ID static variable to that, and then it'll set the group for type ID. Show that, and that's right here, and it just sets the ID for the collidable, and then right for setting collision itself, it's just setting all the it's the template functions to set up of the collisions. Go here. So for setting group for type ID, a check to make sure that the vector that holds them is big enough to add the ID if it is new, and then it checks to see if that index in the vector is null. If it is null, it'll create a new collidable group. For getting the collidable group, it just returns it from the vector, and then processing collisions, it'll go through the list of collision test commands and just call execute on all of them. And do that, okay. Then for the collidables themselves, oops, there we go. So for collidables themselves, for public methods that are available to the user, you have submit collision registration, deregistration, actual collision method, setting the collider model, updating the collision data. For private, it's a scene registration, deregistration, and that gets called from the collidable attorney. For and then each collidable has a B sphere, a pointer to the model, registration, deregistration commands, a delete reference, and a registration state, and also its type ID. Okay, and then to set the collidable group for it, this is how the type ID is determined from get type ID from the collision manager. So in the collidable, it's like the other exables and setting up the registration data, um, creating the commands. In this case, it just adds the type ID. And so for submitting registration, just like all the other ones, make sure it's the appropriate registration state. And then if it is, it'll do what it needs to. In this case, submit a command, and then where is it? Right here, scene attorney registration. It'll register it, and it uses a delete reference to quickly insert and erase for quick registration in deregistration. And then for uh, actually I don't need this, but and then for the method just to get the B sphere of the collidable object, setting the model, updating the collision data, and then to show for the collidable attorney, where is it? Oh, wrong one. So here's the collidable group. It is a list of collidable objects, and as far as public methods go, I got register, deregister, and get the collider collection. So in the register, again, it uses the reference to quickly insert it and erase it from the list. Okay, just show for the registration. Here's the collision registration commands and deregistration commands. They're similar to all the other expos, they just have an execute and a pointer to the actual collidable. Okay, And again from the commands. Okay. Actually, that's the wrong commands. So here's the test commands. Here's the collision dispatch to process the actual collisions. And then the dispatch base that the collision dispatch inherits from. And then here's the test command base. And then here's the actual commands to actually check for collision. So right here in the execute. So let's see. So it takes the collection. Well, in this case, this is the pair command, so we'll take the collection from both groups, which would be right here, collidable group 1, 2, from these 2 pointers. Then it'll iterate through the first collider group, or collidable collection, and then it will iterate through the second one and check for collisions for each object, and it doesn't check multiple times for the same pairs. And then right here, I check to see if the B spheres intersect, and if they do, it'll process the callbacks right here in the dispatch. Should be right here. And then I just have the visualizer actually show the B sphere. Okay, and then for the self, as far as setup, it's similar to the pair command, except for the self, there's only one collidable group or collidable collection. It iterates through it, and then I have it set to where a second one starts at the entry right after the one that it's currently at, and it iterates that way, and it compares them, and the intersection test is just the same as the pairs. So that's how I'm doing that. Okay, and then here's the actual collision volume. I have a base class for it, and then the B sphere inherits from it. Okay, and then here's the compute the data for the B sphere, and then just getting the rotate matrix, getting the center and radius. Okay, and let's see. Yep, that was that. Go here. So here is the collidables. So right here's the collidables. Again, game object inherits, and no duplicate methods. And the collidable, here's a collision manager. And then I didn't show this before, but these are the scene registration commands that all inherit from the command base, or scene registration command, and that inherits from command base. I didn't show that, but that's here now. Okay. And show for the documentation. So got that one. Here. Okay. So here's the collidable documentation. Collidable group. Collision manager. B sphere. And here's the dispatch. And here's the dispatch. Okay. And that is what I have for the collision system.